In this video, I'm going to show you our studio equipment and how we position our readers in the studio. So let's get started. The first piece of equipment might be a little obvious one here, but is a computer. Everybody in our studio uses the Reaper DAW. And the reason we use Reaper is because projects can go over large periods of time, or we might have to bring someone else in on the recording, and we want the recording environment the same or very similar to them. My setup might be different than my coworker, but everything is very similar, so I can open up his Reaper project and continue on with that recording if I have to. Now, our recording equipment, we have Sweetwater Sound. Sweetwater.com is our standard for equipment. We do not want consumer end equipment. We're not buying the high-end professional stuff, but we want to have at least good equipment. So if Sweetwater doesn't sell it, most likely we will not consider buying it. We do not buy everything from Sweetwater. This is where we go to see if the equipment is worthy even buying it. The next piece of equipment is our audio interface. And so our standard here is the Focusrite 2i2. And so it's a nice sound card. It's nice when we go to remote locations. We have the two ends here so we can do stereo recording of music. And it just serves us quite well. If you want to save a little bit of money and you're just going to have one in, I know that there's two. Here you have an instrument I also put in. But this will save you a little bit of money. In fact, I am actually using this solo right now. I have it here sitting on my desk. And so it's a good sound card, and I really like it a lot. If you're going to get more into music, you might consider the Focusrite Scarlett 4i4. I'm going to be taking this on a trip because I'm going to be doing music, and I want to spot mic the main guitar and the main singer and then go stereo overhead. But also then we have the 18i8 that we have in our studio also. So when we're doing music groups, so we have this. This is just not narration, but this is more for music recording. Then you need to have the proper USB cables. Let you choose that, and you can buy them for wherever you want to, or it might even come with the equipment that you have. Then get yourself some good XLR cables. Don't chintz here. We've had some really low-end ones in our studio, and I threw them away. They just give you a headache. So just spend a little bit of money. They're not terribly expensive. I mean, you can get this for $29. You don't have to buy this whole set here. We have a snake. We have a snake very similar to this one right here. We had them custom made for us. And so you can buy snakes. You can buy them without the box, which are cheaper. And so we have that run through the wall. And so we don't have to keep on running cables through, that we can just plug in whatever we need to on this end, and then we'll have the out on this end here. And so it makes it real easy to be able to change things up if you just have a single narrator, or if you're doing a whole music recording. To have this snake, it is just really nice to have, but it's not a requirement. You can just run XLRs and just permanently have those through the wall. Microphones. I really like this Rode NT1000. In fact, I'm using it right now. You might say $400 or $300 is really expensive, but this has good quality sound. It has that large diaphragm. You get the more fullness and everything of the person's voice. This is a really good microphone for its price. We also use the AKG 1000. We typically don't use this for studio recording. We use this for other things. But if you want to save some money, yes, I know it's a little pricey, but it's a nice condenser microphone. It won't be as full sound as the Rode, but this is just a good microphone. Then a good mic stand. We don't have this exact model. I can't find the exact models that we have in our studios, but it's really nice to have this. Our studios are used constantly, and it's nice to be able to have a good microphone stand that we can put over the monitor and having it down at the right position that we want, and it's firmly held, and it has the counterbalance also here so it doesn't start sagging and everything. But you can get any mic stand. Just make sure it's going to be able to hold well and to be out of the way. And so we spent the money on this. So, but they're well worth the money. You don't even think about the mic stand anymore because they're so nice and so robust. Listening back, the Rocket 5. This is a good studio speaker. We have this in all our studios, and just you can get what speakers you want, but I think this gives a good sound. Headphones for EQing and things like that. I like this Dynamics, the 770Ms. And so I feel like they have a good true sound. You can have open back headphones that, give you good sound, but a lot of times I'm on the road, and so these are the headphones that I use. A Talkback System is good to have. You don't have to have a high-end Talkback system. You just basically need to be able to communicate to the person in the booth. And so you take your sound card here, your audio interface, and you have the outs go into the in here, and this way you can send it to your speaker, your Rockets. You can send it out to their headphones, and then you have a microphone. We typically use the AKG, and we just have a little desk stand microphone holder. And so we can control that sound here. Now we have a higher end Talkback system. I'm just showing you the basics here. We have the higher end, so the person in the studio actually can control everything that they want to on their end. And so let me just show you some of the equipment here. So the Mackie is very reasonably priced. It has 5 channels. You probably won't use all 5 channels. It's only $70, and it's a Mackie, so you know it's going to be good quality. And it just works well. We don't have this, but we've used a similar system. We actually have a big Mackie that we use for one of our studios. Yes, it works really, really well. We can control it. We can control the volume of our speakers. We can control what we're sending to the person in the booth. And so they can just say, that they want the sound up or want the sound down. And then headphones. You can buy lower end headphones. We have some lower end headphones, but these are the famous Sony MDR 7506, and we have a lot of these in our studio, so we just have those as part of our Talkback system. Then room treatment. You can get something like this, but they're not going to be able to see. This would be really nice to have something like this, and I've seen people promote this for script recording, but it's really hard to be able to read, and if you stuck a piece of paper or something in here, it almost defeats the whole purpose of this. There's a lot of treatment that you can have that you put in your room. So you just want to make sure that there's not any weird echoes. Our studios are not soundproof. They're quite quiet. But if someone's outside cutting the grass, we're going to have to stop because it's going to have that lawnmower right outside there. Or if we have heavy rain, we have to stop. Light rains, it's okay. But we just use mattresses, not for soundproofing, but to just break down that echo. And we actually, instead of having these sound traps here, we just have some mattresses that we have rolled up and tied up and have those in the corner to kind of break down that weird echo that you can get from those corners there. So the rooms don't have any weird, and when you take it and you clap your hand really strong, and so you're listening to the room, and do you hear the echo, and can you knock that echo down so when you're doing the recording, you're not getting that slight reverb into your recording. Now, positioning the reader. We're in the control room, and then they're in the sound booth, and we have glass between us, and we used to set the person up looking at us here. And then you put the monitor in there, and it's really hard to see them. It's hard to see how they're sitting and all those different things. We turned them 45 degrees, and that still didn't work. So our standard now, if you went back to our studio where they're doing recording and to the studios right this very moment, you would see that they're turned at a 90 degrees to us. It's basically, we can see how they are positioned, and they can easily turn their head and look at us. They have the Talkback system, so they can hear us well, and when they speak into the microphone, and we can hear them well. So have them at 90 degrees has greatly helped us position the person and keep them in position to the microphone. So we have a music stand, or we have a table, and we have a monitor, or it could be a music stand, so they have a book. People have read straight from the printed Bible, or we do printouts. So this needs to be close so that they can see. And one advantage of monitors is that you can make the font larger. It's amazing that if they're not reading well, You increase the font and all of a sudden they can read a lot better. And that's just kind of a known fact that people that are poor readers, if they have larger fonts, it makes it easier for them to read. Then we have the microphone overhead, and this is, I don't have the mic stand, but we have a good strong mic stand that can be over here and reach over, and it has the counterweight so it doesn't sag down. And so we can get it close to the person, and we want it close. It's out of their way. They're reading and they're looking down here and they're speaking down this way. So they're not speaking right into the microphone. It'd be ideal if they were speaking right into the microphone. So we don't need to have the windscreen here to keep it from puffing in here because they're looking down below. Now the microphone ideally is 6 to 8 inches away from the person, and they're talking, pretty close into it. But 8 inches, I know it depends on the person's hand size, but it's about this spread right here. So their head should be pretty close and almost touching that microphone. And then they're going to be looking down. This is the setup I have right here. I have the Rode right above my head, and I have my monitor just right below me here. And so I'm not talking straight into the microphone. I'm looking down below, and so I don't need a windscreen for this setup. Want to make sure that they're really close. And if you went back to the studios right now and watch the guys that are doing the recording, you can see how close the person's head is actually to the microphone. We have the Rode, and so it picks up from the side. So we have our microphone set like this, and then the mic stand is holding it. So it's at an angle. And so this way we can see that they're in a good position, because you have people come in, they take the chair, they move back, and you can hear, but you can see right away what they're doing. Or if they've had a book, they've actually taken the book, they've sat back, and they've held the book down on their lap, and they're looking right down on their lap. And it's like, you can hear that, but you can see it. And say, no, please put the book back onto the stand there. Please move forward. And I had someone that was just always wanting to move back. So I got a heavy piece of furniture, stuck it behind the chair here, and it made it so that they could not move back anymore. And so I kept them in the position. So this is kind of the positioning that you want. You want the microphone close to them, about 8 inches. And in this picture, it could actually be pulled down a little bit closer. You want the monitor or the music stand or whatever here so that they can see it well. Listen, make sure that you're not getting a weird echo. A lot of times if we have a book or something like that, we'll have padding so it's not echoing as much or vibrating. But you don't want a weird echo. You might need to set the monitor up so the echo is coming back this way and not into the microphone. So this is how we set up the person in the studio. So if you need any help with setting up your studio or anything with your studios, feel free to contact me, and I'll be able to consult with you and give you some of the advice that we've learned from all my coworkers, what we've learned over the years, and pass that knowledge on to you. If you found any value in this video, please like, subscribe, and share so YouTube will recommend it to others.